In the shadowed depths of the Pacific War, where the vast ocean stretched like an endless battlefield, the men of the Imperial Japanese Navy's submarine fleet fought a silent, unforgiving struggle. It was a war of shadows and echoes, where the hunter could become the hunted in an instant. This is the story of one such crew aboard the submarine I-175, patrolling the treacherous waters near the Philippines in late 1944, drawn from the personal memoirs of survivors like Commander Mochitsura Hashimoto and the fragmented diaries of those lost to the sea. It's a tale of valor amidst despair, of human resilience against the relentless advance of technology. As the Allies tightened their grip on the seas, these brave sailors would intercept something that shattered their illusions, the unmistakable signs that the ocean, once their domain, belonged to them no more. Picture the scene. It's October 1944. The war has turned against Japan. The once mighty fleet at Leyte Gulf lies in ruins, and the American forces are pushing inexorably toward the home islands. Aboard I-175, Captain Hiroshi Tanaka, a veteran of the early victories at Pearl Harbor, commands a crew of 80 souls. Tanaka is a stern man, forged in the traditions of Bushido, with a scar across his cheek from a shrapnel wound during the Battle of the Coral Sea. His executive officer, Lieutenant Kenji Sato, is younger, more introspective, keeping a secret diary in the dim light of the control room. "The sea is our ally," Sato wrote in one entry, "but lately it whispers warnings I cannot ignore." The submarine, a Type B-1 class vessel, measures over 350 feet long, armed with 6 torpedo tubes and a deck gun. She's laden with supplies for a long patrol: rice, dried fish, and ammunition. The crew lives in cramped quarters, the air thick with the smell of diesel, sweat, and fear. Among them is Petty Officer Akira Nakamura, the sonar operator, a 28-year-old from Kyoto with ears attuned to the ocean's symphony. He listens through hydrophones for the telltale churn of enemy propellers, the distant rumble of convoys. Every sound is a story, Nakamura once confided to his bunkmate, some of victory, others of doom. Their mission is simple yet perilous: disrupt American supply lines in the Philippine Sea. The U.S. Navy has grown formidable, with carrier task forces roaming like packs of wolves. But the Japanese submariners cling to their advantages: stealth, surprise, and the vastness of the Pacific. Or so they believe. As I-175 slips beneath the waves off the coast of Luzon, the crew settles into the rhythm of submerged life. The hum of the electric motors, the occasional creak of the hull under pressure, the muffled conversations about home and honor. Days turn into weeks. They score a minor victory, torpedoing a lone American tanker on October 12th. Cheers echo through the boat as the explosion reverberates. "We struck true," Captain Tanaka announces over the intercom, his voice steady but laced with exhaustion. In his quarters, he pores over charts, knowing the Americans are adapting. Rumors have filtered through from other subs, stories of invisible hunters, aircraft that dropped death from the sky without warning. From Lieutenant Sato's diary: "Last night, we surfaced to recharge batteries under a moonless sky. The stars were our only witnesses, but I felt eyes upon us, unseen, unyielding. The captain speaks of pressing on, but I see the doubt in his eyes. The ocean grows crowded with ghosts." On the evening of October 28th, as I-175 cruises at periscope depth, scanning for targets, Nakamura picks up something unusual. "Captain, faint contacts," he reports, his face pressed to the hydrophone console. "Not ships. Splashes, multiple, from above." The crew tenses. Aircraft? They've evaded patrols before, diving deep to 300 feet, where the pressure tests the hull's limits. Tanaka orders a dive to 200 feet. Silent running. The boat levels out, the men whispering, hearts pounding. Then it begins. The pings, sharp, rhythmic echoes bouncing through the water, like metallic rain. Nakamura's eyes widen. Active sonar, sir. But not from a destroyer. It's scattered, like buoys. They're floating above us! The realization hits like a depth charge. These are sonobuoys, American innovations dropped by patrol planes, PBY Catalinas or B-24 Liberators circling overhead. The buoys, small cylindrical devices parachuted into the sea, emit sonar pulses and radio the data back to the aircraft. No longer do the hunters need to be close. They can blanket the ocean with these ears, turning the depths into a trap. In the control room, sweat beads on foreheads. How many? Tanaka demands. Nakamura counts the signals. 6, 8, more. The pings grow louder, zeroing in. The crew knows what this means. The Americans have pierced the veil. Submarines, once invisible predators, are now marked prey. They've caged us, Sato mutters, scribbling in his diary even as the boat shudders. Flash back to earlier in the war, to understand the emotional weight. In 1942, Japanese subs like I-175's Sisters roamed freely, shelling California coastlines, sinking merchants off Australia. Captain Tanaka recalls the I-26's triumph, torpedoing the USS Saratoga. But by 1943, the tide shifted. American codebreakers cracked Japanese signals, and ASW, anti-submarine warfare, evolved. Destroyers with hedgehog mortars, aircraft with magnetic anomaly detectors, and now, these buoys. From the memoirs of Commander Hashimoto, who commanded the I-58, we heard the pings like death knocks. The enemy had eyes in the water, ears in the sky. Our boats vanished one by one. I-168, I-70, lost to depth charges that rained like thunder. Aboard I-175, the first depth charges explode. The boat rocks violently, lights flicker, pipes burst. Damage control! Tanaka barks. Men scramble, ceiling leaks, shoring bulkheads. Petty Officer Nakamura clings to his station, the pings incessant. They're tracking us, Captain. The buoys are guiding them. The crew's resilience shines through. Seaman Taro Ikeda, a young farm boy from Hiroshima, helps a wounded comrade, binding a gash with torn cloth. We fight for the Emperor, he whispers, his voice trembling but firm. In the torpedo room, Chief Torpedo Man Jiro Watanabe readies countermeasures. Decoy bubbles, oil slicks to fool the hunters. But the sonobuoys are relentless, their signals painting a picture for the planes above. Another barrage. The hull groans, depth gauge spinning past 400 feet, beyond safe limits. Blow ballast, Tanaka orders, but the valves jam. Panic ripples, but valor holds. Sato writes, the ocean presses in, cold and merciless. I think of my wife in Tokyo, the cherry blossoms we promised to see together. If we perish, let it be with honor. The attacks continue for hours. The Americans, from Task Force 38 or a hunter-killer group, coordinate with precision. A Fido torpedo, acoustic homing, nicknamed the Mine That Chases, is dropped, guided by the buoy's data. It homes in on I-175's propellers. Nakamura hears it first. Incoming! High-speed screw. Evasive maneuvers, hard to starboard, full speed. But the torpedo closes. Explosion. The aft section floods. Men scream as water rushes in. Abandon ship protocol, Tanaka shouts, but it's too late for most. The boat lists, descending into the abyss. In the final moments, as the pressure crushes the hull, fragments of lives flash. Captain Tanaka thinks of his son, training as a pilot. Sato clutches his diary, hoping it survives. Nakamura, trapped in his station, whispers a prayer to the sea gods. Only a handful escape, blown to the surface in debris. Rescued later by a passing Japanese vessel, they recount the horror. Lieutenant Sato, one survivor, later writes in his memoir, "When we intercepted those buoys, we knew The pings were the death knell. The ocean was no longer ours. It belonged to the machines of the enemy. This incident echoed across the fleet. By 1945, Japanese subs were decimated. Over 130 lost, crews numbering in the thousands. Yet their resilience endures. Men like Hashimoto, who sank the USS Indianapolis in a daring attack, only to face the same hunters. He dove to 500 feet, enduring 78 depth charges, emerging scarred but alive. "We were warriors of the deep," he reflected. But technology stole our shadows. In the broader context, the Pacific War's submarine campaign revealed harsh truths. Japan started with advanced torpedoes, the Long Lance, oxygen-fueled marvels. But neglect of radar, sonar countermeasures, and convoy tactics doomed them. Locations like the Solomons, Midway, and Guam became graveyards. Names like I-19, which sank the USS Wasp, or I-168, destroyer of the Yorktown, stand as beacons of early glory. But as the Buoys multiplied, deployed from bases in Hawaii, Guadalcanal, the noose tightened. American innovations, born from necessity after Pearl Harbor, turned the tide. The ANCRT-1 Sonar, first used in 1943, allowed patrols to cover thousands of square miles. Coupled with Fido torpedoes, they claimed subs like I-52 in the Atlantic, carrying gold to Nazi allies, sunk without mercy. From Hashimoto's accounts, "We surfaced at night, only to hear aircraft engines. Dive, and the pings followed. Depth charges shook us like ragdolls. Many brothers went silent, their boats imploding in the deep. The emotional toll was profound. Crews endured isolation, the constant threat of asphyxiation from battery fumes, the psychological strain of silent running. Yet valor persisted. In one patrol, a subcrew repaired a flooded engine room under fire, saving the boat. Another, low on air, surfaced amid enemy ships, firing deck guns in defiance. As the war neared its end, resilience turned to desperation. Kaiten, human torpedoes, were launched from subs like I-58. Young pilots, volunteers, steered them to targets, sacrificing all. Hashimoto described one launch. The boy's eyes were calm, like a samurai facing the blade. He vanished into the waves, a spark of honor in the darkness, but the Buoys symbolized the end. No longer could subs lurk undetected. The ocean, vast and impartial, had chosen sides. American carriers, like the Enterprise and Hornet, launched planes that sowed these seeds of detection. Convoys sailed safer. Troops landed unmolested. In the aftermath, survivors like Sato returned home to a defeated Japan. His diary, smuggled through the chaos, speaks of lost comrades. "We were the silent guardians, but silence betrayed us. The pings still echo in my dreams." This story honors those men, their courage, their sacrifices. In the face of overwhelming odds, they embodied the spirit of resilience. The ocean may have been lost, but their legacy endures, a cinematic epic of human will against the machine of war. And so, as the waves close over the wrecks, we remember. In the deep, where light fades, valor shines eternal.